Dhiran Sarna, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone to today's session. And I would also like to invite Reverend Digora Dhammadassi Thero to start today's sermon. Thank you.
Everyone. Today also we are going to have a discussion based on the questions that you have sent to the WhatsApp group and WhatsApp chat to my WhatsApp chat privately. So before starting the discussion, as always, let us think about all the meritorious deeds that we have done throughout this samsaric journey, and thinking about those meritorious deeds would create a favorable environment in our minds that would help us to understand Dhamma, that would eliminate the Kama, Chanda, Vyapada, Dina, Middha, Uddhāca, Vichikicha, or in other words, the Pancha Nivarana, which cover up the Nibbana pathway. When our mind is pure and clean, it is very easy for us to understand Supreme Dhamma. So let us think about all the meritorious deeds that we have done throughout this samsaric journey, and may all that meritorious power agglomerate together, creating the perfect environment in our minds as well as in the surrounding for us to understand the Supreme Dhamma. With that idea in your mind, accept this with the sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
And let us think about all the negative things that we have done throughout this samsaric journey as well, especially towards the Buddha Sasana, especially towards the triple gems, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. If we have done anything wrong towards the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, let us acknowledge our faults and let us determine ourselves that we are not going to do those kinds of wrong things again. By that, we are seeking forgiveness. In Buddha Sasana, seeking forgiveness means not repentance, not being sad about our past doings. It is about acknowledging our past wrongdoings and understanding the fault and moving forward with the idea that we are not going to do those kinds of things again. And with this matured idea, let us accept this with a sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So today also we are going to have a discussion based on the questions. So I'll read the questions in the order where I have got the questions from, and we'll go on with the discussion. Question 1 goes like this. When the mind goes to the past, mana becomes stronger, and when the mind goes to the future, craving becomes stronger. Let the mind be in the present. This is within inverted commas. So my mind really goes back to the past a lot. I think this has been further strengthened because I have a habit of checking things professionally. At some point, it becomes a habit. I don't think it was like this when I was young. However, when I focus my mind on the present, these phenomena occurs. Just keeping my mind in the present instead of going to the past or the future takes effort, and I am busy enough. There is no time to observe the occurrence of sun. Therefore, rather than thinking or deliberation, the following situation occur. When meeting with outsiders, when I do not necessarily have to focus on their conversation and respond, it is difficult to know the content of the conversation because my mind is in the present. When I eat food, I am in the present of my mind. So I perceive it as a certain taste rather than chocolate taste like this and is delicious. Since the mind is in the present, things that are visible to the eyes do not seem to be clearly visible. When I hold my mind to the present like this, thoughts do not come to my mind like animals hiding in a tunnel. How is this assessed at a rudimentary level? Is this desirable at a beginner level? So, when starting with the when answering these questions, we have to understand in when we are practicing Arya Dhamma, what we are doing is not a kind of very simple exercise like this. So we were used to doing those kinds of exercises when we did not know about the reality of the world, especially anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So at that time, what we did was we were paying our attention to the breathing, and or paying our attention to something else, or some things like we pay our attention to patavi. So we get a ball of clay and keep it in front of us, and we think about patavi, patavi, patavi. These are all kind of yogi exercises that we use, that yogis use, actually not us. Yogis use for concentration, meditation purposes. So they need this ultra focused mindset for them to achieve enlightenment. That's what they believe. But samadhi is not the ultimate goal in Buddha Sasana. Ultimate goal in Buddha Sasana is Panya, not Samadhi. Samadhi helps to achieve that result, which is Panya. So Samadhi is not disregarded here. Samadhi is important, but our focus is on Panya. So when we are reading this question, the main focus is to keep our minds in the present. No, that is just a small exercise that one do to focus his or her mind. So we are not going to do that kind of a exercise where our mind is not growing. So our mind or our wisdom should grow through the exercise that we do. Otherwise, if the wisdom does not grow, how are we going to get the ultimate result of panya? So panya is the ultimate result that we want. So our exercise that we do should complement that, should help that in achieving that goal. So we should not just do some exercise all throughout the day. No. So what we have to do instead, yes, what there's this Bhaddekaratta Sutra. If you can go and read, there's a sutra called Bhaddekaratta Sutra in Majjhima Nikaya, I think. In that sutta, it says in Bhaddekaratta Sutta, the past has already gone. The future has not come towards us yet. So there's no point in attaching to any of those things because the past is already gone. No point in attaching to that. Future has not come towards us yet. It is in the future, so it is not experienced by us yet. So there's no point in focusing on the future as well. So what we should do is we have to see the present moment as anicca, dukkha, and anatta. That is what Sutta says. So what is the meaning of this sutta? This is a very short methodology that we can use, but it is not what is described according to this question. So this question needs to be modified, or the what we heard from this question should be modified in this way. So what we should do, if we are following this methodology to attain nibbana, so what we should do is, what is the reason of dukkha? The reason of dukkha is attachment. So we attach to something in the future which has not arisen yet. So for example, let's say you want a promotion in your career, in your profession. You feel like you want a promotion, but you have not received it yet because you are thinking about the future. So you attach to something in the future at the current moment, and you are attaching to something of anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature, which is you cannot control it according to your expectation. So expectation can go wrong, and you can end up with disappointment. Even if the expectation was achieved, it is not because you wanted it, or because of your um, you are wanting. It is because the causes are aligning that way, because of the dependent origination. All the causes aligned in that manner, and the result came. And uh, because your wanting or your expectation also aligned with that result, you thought your result came, or your wanting or your expectation came true. So this is the way that you should think. This is vipassana meditation. Now this is all meditation from the beginning up until now is the meditation. So this is anicca, and because of that it is dukkha. This is of dukkha nature, because of the attachment to the promotion itself creates the dukkha. Because you are in fear whether you will get the promotion. You are in fear, and this fear can come true where you don't get the expected promotion. And anyway, even if you get the promotion, either you would die, or you would lose that job or the promotion or whatever. So the connection, or the we can say the relationship between the profession and you would end up in misery anyway, because one or the other would end in deterioration and destruction. That means viparinama would happen. Viparinama would lead to suffering. So one way or the other, the result would be suffering. So it is anatta. So anicca, dukkha, anatta nature would give this idea there's no point in attaching to the future, because it has not already arisen. I am attaching to something not already arisen, and that something is of anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature, which is not good, because it would create a suffering relationship, a dukkha relationship. So in that sense, uh, you would you would get into the uh, samma sati. Samma sati, or you would realize the reality. At that point, you would be in the Ariyatangika Magga. You are not away from the Ariyatangika Magga. All this thinking, um, all this working, all this talking, everything is in the Ariyatangika Magga. So in the past, if you think about something in the past, what about the past? Past has already gone. So past has already gone, and the what is the thing about thinking? What is the thing about thinking about the past? The thing is, we are thinking about things in the past because we want them in the future. So, for example, I had a nice house before, and I had a nice meal before. In the previous day dinner was fantastic. why are we thinking like this? Because we want a similar kind of a dinner again. Oh, yesterday's dinner was horrible. It was very, very bad. Why are we thinking like that? Because we don't want that kind of a dinner again. So again, we are thinking about something of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. So we are trying to control the dependent world, and that means a world which is created by a Paticca Samuppāda. So we are going to control that kind of a world. That is why we are getting attached to the past things. So we are attaching to the past memories, past experiences, images, sounds, smells, taste, touches, and thoughts. And this attachment is also of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. There's no point in attaching to something which has already gone, which is again the relationship is of dukkha nature or suffering nature. Because it has already gone, now it is the disappointment that we have. For example, we have gone on a trip, and that trip was fantastic. We liked the trip. The experience was great. And what are we having right now? Thinking about the past experiences, we are in a state of suffering because we don't have that fun right now. We are thinking about a fun that we had in the past and comparing it with the state we are in right now, and we are actually we are craving for that kind of a moment again, and that is suffering. That is not a blissful experience. When we are talking to our friends, we say, uh, let's go on a trip like that again. That was fantastic, and I can't wait to go on a trip like that again. Because we say we can't wait because we are in a state of suffering right now. Because if we go on that kind of a trip again, we would feel happy. That is what we are saying in an indirect way. So right now we are in a painful situation, and to end this painful situation, we want to go on a trip like the trip we went few months ago. So that is the idea. So then again, that is the reality of past and future. What is the thing about right now? The moment that we are having right now, these words that is being shouted out, the words that you are heard with your ears, everything goes to the past right now. And it is like a river which is which is going towards the ocean. You cannot stop it. This is the river of time which goes to the ocean, which is the past, and we cannot stop this river of time. And we don't have any control. We cannot stop in the in the in the in the very blissful moment. So let's say we get a very, very blissful moment. We cannot stop. It goes into the past, ends up in viparinama dukkha. What would what would be remaining is the dukkha or the vexation. So when the vexation is there, we would do anything at our disposal to get that feeling again. So we do sankhara, which is the sankhara dukkha. Sankhara dukkha would create the thing, but it would go to the ocean of past through through the river of time. So you cannot hang on to it. It is like catching air. So when you try to grab onto air, or if you try to catch air, it just slips out of your fingers, from your fingers. So you cannot hold on to, or you cannot touch, you cannot feel the sensation of air. Just like that, you cannot hold on to these things which goes to the past. But the thing is, we think that we can, and we do this again and again. So viparinama dukkha would create dukkha or the vexation. So the vexatious, disappointed mindset would want that kind of a thing again. So we would do sankhara dukkha, and that would end up in viparinama dukkha again. So that is why Supreme Buddha says this world is dukkho loke patittita. The world is of dukkha nature, and there are three dukkha, which is tisso dukkha, sankhara dukkha, viparinama dukkha, and dukkha dukkha. So this world is a combination of these three dukkhas. That is what he said. So we understand this. So are we going to attach to the present moment? No. The attachment is the problem. This is where you should focus on. Tanhakyo nibbana. Again, another way of telling what nibbana is. Saragakyo nibbanam, dosakyo nibbanam, mohakyo nibbanam is also correct. Again, you can say tanhakyo nibbanam, because if the tanha, the attachment is gone, that is nibbana. Sopadi says a nibbana. So what we should do is, if we have to see whether we are getting attached to something in the future, getting attached to something in the past, getting attached to something right now. If we are doing that, then see it as anicca dukkha anatta, and that would develop our wisdom, and that is vipassana, that is meditation, that would give us the end result, which is nibbana, gradually, not all in once, but you would get there gradually, we would get there gradually. So this is what we need to understand when we are practicing Arya Dhamma. So the another very important point that you should remember, that we should remember, is we cannot practice Arya Dhamma all at once. This is just like going up a staircase. So you cannot keep your foot on the higher stairs if you did not pass the lower stairs. So gradually you have to ascend. So this is like, we have, I think, already discussed this. This is like cleaning a room. So think about the most disturbing things that create suffering in your mind. For example, let's say there's something that bothers you very much mentally. So that might be the thing that you should work on first. For example, there's a very, very troublesome neighbor next door. He always shouts out loud and uses the and plays music very loud, and do certain things that you don't like. There's a troublesome neighbor next door. So if there's something like that, what we should do is, that is the most irritating thing. Just like cleaning when we are cleaning the room, we have to remove the bigger pieces first. After that only we would be able to focus on the smaller pieces of rubbish, pieces of garbage. So we have to first focus on the bigger ones. So think about your life and think about the most disturbing things that are there in your life. Whether it can be about watching TV, watching television shows. It can be about listening to music. It can be about tasting, eating, having delicious food. It can be about anything. This is all raga. It can be about something of dosa, just like the troublesome neighbor. It can be something like a child that does not listen to you. It can be something in the office or in the workplace. It can be something of any sort that is troubling your mind, not your body, not your physical body, because that is another story. So what we are trying to do is, we are going to remove the dukkha, or the suffering, that is created with avijja, because that is the element that we can remove. And if we can remove that element, most of it, 99% of dukkha is already gone. Only the 1% which is felt with the body would be there. So what we need to do is, we have to focus on the bigger picture, bigger things first, and we have to see it in any way that you are comfortable with. But you ultimately what you have to see is the anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. So I would tell you a way that you can test yourself whether this is working. So when you think in anicca, dukkha, anatta pattern, what should happen if you are doing it correctly is should happen is the attachment or the pain and the suffering should go away. If the pain and suffering is not going away when you are thinking in that way, then there's a problem. We have already discussed how this happens. So, for example, if there's dosa, that means you are angry, you are in, you are, so someone is in anger, someone is agitated, someone is in conflict with something. So, if that is the kind of mindset someone is having, what is the reason for that? The reason is attachment. You attach to something, and that thing is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. So you cannot get what you want according to your expectation. So things went south, and the things were not according to your expectation. So you end up in disappointment, which is why the anger is, which is why the agitation is, which is why the conflict is. So the underlying reason or the cause is the attachment. So why did we attach? Why did that someone attach to this? Because that person thought this is of value, or this is of Nitya, Sukha, Atta, Subha nature. That is why that person got attached. So if this is not of Nitya, Subha, Atta, Sukha nature, what you are doing is you are going one step further and seeing this as Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, and Asubha. So when you are seeing this as Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, and Asubha, there's no attachment occurring. If there's no attachment occurring, there's no dosa occurring. So the suffering due to dosa would end then and there if you can correctly think in that way. But the thing is, when the mindset is agitated, when the mindset is of, we know the Panchanivarana, Kama, Chanda, Vyapada, Tina, Middu, Uddhachu, Vichikicha. So this is Vyapada. Someone is angry, agitated. So this agitated, angry mindset might not be able to think Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta in a clearer way. So that you would feel like, no, my Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta is not working right now. That is normal. But when your mind is calmed, when our mind is calmed down, so that at that instance we can think about anicca, dukkha, anatta. That would make us realize, yes, there was no logical explanation for my anger, because in reality it was something of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature that I got attached and the things went south, because that is the nature of that. Things I got attached is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. And I was not in a focus. My mindfulness was out of place. So what happened was my original habit during this whole samsara was thinking these things are Nitya, Sukha, Atta, Subha, these things are Nitya, Subha, Atta, Sukha nature. But in reality, now I am realizing again and again that this is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. So my anger is just pointless. There's no rational reasoning behind my anger, or hate, or agitation. So this is the same for attachment. So one step is gone, which is the anger stage. What happens when someone get attached is the things were as you wanted. So there was no anger, but there was attachment. There was this delusional blissfulness made because the deficiency of the mindset was treated by that object, by the touch of that object. So when that is gone, again, that would result in dosa. So this attachment is a very tricky business, because as soon as we get attached, the reason for dukkha has already created. So it is a matter of time until the things go wrong. At that point, soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa sambhavati. If we think in a very, very fine way, that means in a very, very detailed manner, we are suffering while we are in attachment as well. Why? Because what we are doing when we are getting attached, that means not attachment, in raga. In raga state also, we are suffering. Why are we suffering in the raga state? Because as soon as we create something of good nature, it dies, deteriorates and dies. Jara and marana happens then and there, creating a vacuum or a deficiency or a very emptiness. So to fill this emptiness, we have to create that thing again. For example, if we put a piece of chocolate in our mouth, when the touch occurs with the tongue, that is blissful sweet taste, which ends then and there. So what we have to do is we have to move our mouth, move our tongue, and we have to continue the process of touching the pieces of chocolates or bits of chocolate with our taste buds. If that does not happen continuously, the taste would not get created. That would end up in more serious dukkha, which can be dosa. To stop occurring dosa, what we do is we continuously munch, we continuously chew. So dosa would not occur. What if someone asks us to spit it out? Then dosa would occur. Dosa is not occurring because the process of chewing, process of munching is happening continuously until it is swallowed. So we don't feel that dosa. So in that way, raga and dosa should be eliminated, which is why in a later question also it's asked Vineyya. Vineyya means, so I'll answer this question here. So there was a question asking whether chakku viññāneyya and Vineyya. So the question is chakku viññāneyya rupa sota viññāneyya saddha. What is the meaning of viññāneyya in Pali? Does this mean the same thing as this verse in Satipatthana Sutta? Atapi sampajano satima vineyya loke abhijja domanassa. So I am answering this question right here is because what we should do is satima vineyya loke abhijja domanassa. So abhijja is the raga part. So it is more than raga. It is something of due to extensive level of raga, we have become very what do you call very aggressive kind of raga. So we want things to ourselves, we don't want others to have it, kind of a raga. So that is the attachment part. But when the attachment goes out of order, or when things go wrong, what happens? Dosa. So abhijja and domanassa should be eliminated. Using what? Atapi sampajano satima vineyya loke. Sati and sampajana should be used. So that is Satipatthana. Chattaro Satipatthana means these four: Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana. It can be used to eliminate These abhijja, domanassa, and Vineyya means disciplining. In that Pali text, Vineyya means disciplining. Disciplining means we are eliminating these abhijja and domanassa by carefully focusing on our 6 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. This is what is Indriya Bhavana is. Indriya Bhavana is about disciplining our mind. So that is what what Vineyya means. Vineyya comes from the word Vinaya, but the other word Chakku Vinyaneya Rupa. Vinyaneya and Vinaya are two different things. Vinyaneya means Vinyaneya comes from the word Vinyana. Vinyana becomes Vinyaneya. Vinaya becomes Vinaya. So these are two different things. Vinyaneya means Chakku Vinyaneya Rupa means Rupa, that we perceive Rupa because of Chakku Vinyana. For example, there's a Pali verse like this: Chakkuncha Paticca Rupecha. So Chakku and Rupa are Paticca, that means comes together. Chakkuncha Paticca Rupecha Uppajjati Chakku Vinyana. So then only we are able to experience the Rupa because of Chakku Vinyana. When the Chakku Vinyana is created, we are experiencing what is in the outside world. So Chakku Vinyaniya Rupa means Rupa that occurs as a result of Chakku Vinyana. Chakku Vinyaneya. It is something like a what do you call a prefix or a suffix for the word to connect the two words. It says the Rupa which came to life or which is experienced because of Chakku Vinyana. That means Chakku Vinyaneya Rupa. And the Sota Vinyana also. So Sota Vinyaneya Saddha also happens in the same pattern. So I hope that is clear as well. Answer to that question. So I think the answer to the first question is clear. What we have to do with regard to that first question. If not, if you want more details regarding the things we discussed up until now, please put that into the chat and we'll move on to the second one. Are there any other Paticca Samuppādas beside these? Raga, Dosa, Moha, and Avijja Patisampāda. Or Avijja Patisampāda. Raga, Dosa, and Avijja. Avijja has two Patisampādas: Vicikicca Patisampāda and Uddhacca Patisampāda. So there are mainly 4 that we have discussed during our discussions, but there are many Paticca Samuppādas that even we don't know about. Even Sariyutta Thero also don't know about, maybe. Because only a Supreme Buddha can understand the Paticca Samuppāda totally, 100%, because there are very fine details when it comes to Paticca Samuppāda. It's the same terms that is used, avidya, sankhara, vijnana. Likewise, it's the same kind of terms that is used, but it can explain everything, all the things in the world. So I don't think anybody can do that except a Supreme Buddha. So there are many Paticca Samuppādas in the outside, in the inside, in the mind, in the outside world. All the things can be explained with Paticca Samuppāda. For example, Chakkung Bhikkave Anicca Paticca Samuppanna Kaya Dhamma, Vaya Dhamma, Sankhata Dhamma, Nirodha Dhamma, Viraga Dhamma. So that is explained by Supreme Buddha. Chakku can be also explained as using the Paticca Samuppāda. Sota, Gana, Jivha, Kaya, Mano, and then again Rupa, Saddha, Gandha, Rasa, Pottabha, Dhamma also can be explained with Paticca Samuppāda. So everything can be explained with Paticca Samuppāda. It is not just the things or the Chitta and Chaitasika. It is everything. So this is very complicated when it comes to the realm of Paticca Samuppāda. So what we need is actually the Idappacceta Paticca Samuppāda. So when we use the Idappacceta Paticca Samuppāda, what we do is we see the state of being of us right now. So if we get angry right now, we know the Paticca which is going on right now is not a good one. It is either raga or dosa. Oh, in this case, because I am angry, it is dosa. So we have to see what creates dosa. So avijja created sankhara. Sankhara created vinyana. Dosa vinyana. Dosa vinyana is what led to gradually one by one to dosa jati. So to eliminate dosa jati, avijja pacca sankhara should not happen. So to end avijja pacca sankhara, we have to see the kusala moola. So when we see in the sense of kusala moola pacca sankhara would create the opposite of dosa vinyana, which is metta vinyana. So metta vinyana would create the metta jati and eliminate dosa vinyana, dosa jati. And that is how we get rid of raga, get rid of dosa, get rid of moha. Then again, raga kyo nibbana, dosa kyo nibbana, moha kyo nibbana. So we can use this method as well to eliminate raga, dosa, moha. There are these kinds of different methodologies that we can use. We can practice in different situations. You can change the method depending on the situation as well. So think about what suits you most and practice different types and stick on to the ones that works the most to eliminate raga, dosa, moha. We don't need that kind of what do you call the detailed analysis of Paticca Samuppāda in an academical way to understand Arya nature, to understand to eliminate all the dukkha, to become Arihant. We only need this small Paticca Samuppāda, which can be applied to all the things happening right now. If it is when we get the when we become mindful, when we become when we realize that what is happening right now is not Arya, then we can apply the Paticca and see what is the problem. Applying Paticca itself would tell us that this is of anicca nature. It is a dependent origination or a thing that is happening because of causes and effects, not because of our wanting, our expectation. So the anicca nature is also there. So the dukkha nature is also there, and the anatta nature is also there. So we are seeing the word as anicca, dukkha, anatta, and seeing nibbana as nicca, sukhatta. So these two sides should be seen when we are applying the Paticca Samuppāda, when we are applying the meditation, vipassana. So we are not focusing on something, as said previously, we are not doing something very methodical. We are doing something that would bloom our wisdom. So otherwise, if the wisdom would not develop, we will not be able to attain our final goal, because vipanya is our final goal, not samadhi, not something else, not a method, not a ritual, nothing but panya. So everything should focus to develop panya. So that would be the answer for the question. And So the next question is, then the raga perceptible states of ordinary people are then the perceptible states of ordinary people are those of raga, dosa, moha, and abhyakata. Or is it that the Buddha did not say this because we have two more bhava and jati that we cannot perceive, but they are not necessary to reach nibbana? The reason I ask this question is because even though sun is born, or sun means raga, dosa, moha, I may not know that raga, dosa, moha has been born, and I may regard all my states as raga, dosa, moha, even though raga, dosa, moha is not born. Sabbe Sankhāra dukkha. Even if we only interpret this literally, our hours can be understood as the continuous birth of raga, dosa, moha. Sabbe Sankhāra anicca, Sabbe Sankhāra dukkha, and all sankharas here are all sankharas here. All sankharas, or does sankhara here mean only abhisankhara? No, actually, in that Pali verse, Sabbe Sankhāra means all sankharas. The sankhara dukkha does not go away even for an arihat. For example, if he goes for pindapata, or if he wants to wash his robe, if he wants to talk to somebody, do a Dhamma explanation, that is of dukkha nature, because you get tired. That is, the sankhara is always tiring. There's a dukkha attached with sankhara. But that is until nibbana. That means the passing away, the final or the end of this sansaric cycle. Up until that moment, arihat is in a state where raga does not occur, where dosa does not occur, where moha does not occur. Because in the Pali Gatha, it says Sabbe Sankhāra Aniccāti. So if you have to only know this concept, understand this concept. When you understand this concept, you would not get attached to that kind of sankhara, because you know that we know that it is of anicca nature. Sabbe Sankhāra Aniccāti. So we know that these sankharas are of anicca nature. So when we do something knowingly and when we do something not knowingly are two different things. For example, when we know that sankharas are of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature, we would not get attached, because we know that there's no value. Anicca means less value, no value, zero value. So when there's zero value, the attachment would not occur. So if the attachment occurs to something of anicca nature, which is now, if the attachment occurs for sankhara, and the sankhara is anicca dukkha anatta, of anicca dukkha anatta nature, then the end result would be you would anyway feel the sankhara dukkha, but apart from that, there would be disappointment as well. Soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa as well. But soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa would not occur if somebody knows the sankhara is of anicca nature, sankhara is of dukkha nature. That disappointment, element of disappointment would not occur, because that person is doing that sankhara not because of value, but because it is necessary. It is necessary to find food, so sankhara is done. But there's no disappointment when you don't get food. For example, a Arihat monk goes on Pindapata. So he gets food one day. He's not happy. Happy in the sense, he's not happy that he got more food today. No. He knows if it is of anicca nature. Anicca means it is a Paticca Samuppāda thing. or a thing that is created of dependent origination. There's no point in getting the credit for what happened. So no extra happiness there. When the things go wrong, when he does not get food on the next day, he is not disappointed. He knows it is of anicca nature. There's no point in taking the responsibility for what has happened, because it is of anicca nature. So in that sense, that Arihat would not feel happy when the things are perfectly well, or would not feel sad when the things go wrong. So in Buddha Sasana, Nibbana is the elimination of dukkha. So to eliminate dukkha, we have to get rid of this delusional happiness that we get by thinking the world is of Nitya, Sukha, Atta, Subha nature. When that thinking pattern is gone, the delusional happiness would be also gone. But why would we need a delusional sense of happiness? All of us need the real happiness, which is the ending of dukkha. So anyway, the sankhara, all the sankharas are of anicca nature. That is a nature not in our mind, but in sankhara. So sankhara is of anicca nature. Just like our eye is of anicca nature, image is of anicca nature, all the world is of anicca nature. Just like that. Not only sankhara, rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, everything is of anicca nature. So when you know everything is of anicca nature, so Arihat also has rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vinyana. So he knows it is of anicca nature. Why? That is why he does not get attached to it and create the pancha upadanaskandha. Pancha upadanaskandha is not created because he knows it is of anicca dukkha anatta nature. We sometimes create, we create the pancha upadanaskandha because we forget that it is of anicca dukkha anatta nature. So pancha upadanaskandha, attachment is created. So panchaskandha is also dukkha. That is why it is called dukkhaskandha. Panchaskandha is called dukkhaskandha. So Arihat also has that dukkha. There's no escaping until the passing away. So that part of dukkha is also always there. But what we do is we multiply that by million times and create the panchupadanaskandha and suffer a lot more. So what we have to do is we have to see the thing as anicca, see the thing as dukkha, see the thing as anatta. So that is why it says Sabbe Sankhāra anicchāti. Yada panyaya pasati. If you understand this concept, if you understand this reality of the world, atta nibbintati dukke, you would be free from dukkha, and that is the pathway to enlightenment, or Suddha, or the purification. That is the pathway to purifying your mind. So that is another way of explaining it. So that is what we need to understand. Everything is of anicca dukkha anatta nature. We become, so in another word, anicca dukkha anatta means a ball of suffering. So everything is a ball of suffering. Our eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, everything is of anicca dukkha anatta nature. It is a ball of anicca dukkha anatta. Ball means a combination, a ball of anicca dukkha anatta. So we become a person who is suffering only because only if we get attached to that ball of suffering. There are suffering things all around. For example, your house is also suffering. The next door person's house is also suffering. a house of a person who is living 1,000 miles away is also suffering. But that is not a problem of yours, problem of us, because attachment has not still occurred. It has happened for our house, so we are suffering because of our house, because it is also of anicca dukkha anatta nature. The next door person's house is also of anicca dukkha anatta nature. The house which is situated 1,000 miles away is also of anicca dukkha anatta nature. But we become a person who is suffering only if we create this bond or attachment. Attachment is the magical thing that creates the suffering. So we are suffering because of our house, but not because of the next door person's house. But we can make that happen. The only thing that we have to do is buy that house or think that it is yours. Anyway, it is a thought. That person thought that he sold the house. You thought that we thought that we bought the house, and it in there was a exchange of papers, printed papers, which we call money. And that act of exchanging, or that person gave, let's say $1,000, $10,000 to us, and that and we thought in our minds that I bought the house and he sold the house. He also thought I sold the house and this person bought the house. And it is a mental idea, thing that happened in the mental level. It was just a transaction of colored papers. So what happened underneath this process is, from one person the attachment got eliminated or removed. He might have attached to something else, he might have bought something new, but not the attachment to this house is not there anymore. But our attachment occurred to that house. So everything that happens to that next door house creates a suffering element in us, creates a sense of suffering in us. So it's the same for the house 1,000 miles away. We just need to create that bond, which is the attachment somehow. So everything around us is of suffering nature. What we need to do is, if we want to suffer, what we need to do is we have to create the attachment. That is why it is said dukkha samudaya jnana, which is us knowing that the reason of suffering is attachment. So that is, I hope that explains that explanation is enough for the question. So it says, what I am really curious about this. All day long, my mind cannot remain still even for a moment and wanders around looking for food for the mind. Isn't this ultimately the birth of Raga and Moha all day long? The scriptures say that one must see the arising of Jati and the fact that they lead to dukkha. then the normal conclusion is that I cannot take a break from meditation or reflection of even for a moment, logically and common sense. This is the conclusion. In other words, if I follow the Buddha's teachings, the conclusion is not to observe the arising of sun from time to time during the day, but observe it continuously, not to be able to stop observing even for a moment. Logically speaking, it is normal for there to be no time to stop even for a moment. I don't mean that this continuous observing and pondering is too harsh. I want to know what I have to achieve, what I actually have to do. I like to hear what you have to say about this. So yeah, the thing is, there are people called Ugghati, Vineyya, and Padaparam. These are the four people in Buddha Sasana who 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 try to understand Supreme Dhamma. First three can. Ugghati, Vineyya, and Vineyya can understand the Supreme Dhamma. But the Padaparama cannot, because the meaning of Padaparama is you cannot go beyond the text. That you cannot think out of the box, something like that. Because if somebody is just book, that means not practical, but book, a person who is always referring to the book and does not think in a practical way, that person cannot understand Dhamma. So we have to forget about those people. So we are focusing about the first three. What is the first one? Ugghati. Ugghati are very, very wise people. Most of the time, the ones who were there during the Supreme Buddha's era, like Sariputta Thero, Moggallana Thero, and such. So these individuals are very, very wise, just need very simple understanding to do to eliminate all the defilements in their system. So the second one is Vipatitanya needs some kind of explanation, but a very short one still. They also can attain Nibbana without much effort. But the Vineyya people need more and more explanations, more and more examples, more and more practice to attain Nibbana. So the people right now in our time are almost always Vineyya. So as Vineyya ones, yes, in reality, what we have to do is seeing everything as anicca, dukkha, anatta, and being very mindful of what we are doing, whether raga, dosa, moha is occurring. If that is occurring, apply anicca, dukkha, anatta, and change the ways, change the things that we are doing. So that would eliminate, that is extensive practice of Satipatthana would eliminate raga, dosa, moha in 7 days, at least in 7 days, or it can be less, at least in 7 days. But that kind of a practice is not easy these days. If we can, that is very good. But it says that if somebody is at least practicing Satipatthana correctly, even at least in 7 years, it should end. So we cannot keep up with this ragadosa, checking the ragadosa moha all the time, because our mind wanders. When it starts wandering, because it is of anicca, dukkha, anatta nature, especially of anicca nature, we don't know. We want to attain nibbana, but our wanting doesn't occur. That is the problem. So if the causes are aligning, then we feel like our thing is working, because when the machine is perfectly working towards something, the result is given even if we like it or not. So what we need to do is we need to manage, or we need to operate the machine in a way that it would get the results. That is done with wisdom. So we know, because of Supreme Buddha's teaching, Aipatisara would lead to Kusala Sila would lead to Aipatisara, would lead to Pramoda, Preeti, Pasadi, Sukha, Samadhi, Vimukti Jnana, Yathabhuta Jnana Dasana, Viraga, Nirodha, and Vimukti Jnana Dasana. So this is the causes and effects, a chain of causes and effects that would get to the end. So we know this. So what we do is we do the Samma Vayam. So when we practice Samma Vayam, we are trying to eliminate all the defilements. So we have discussed this in Ganaka Moggallana Sutta, how we have to practice Arya Magga in Arya Magga step by step, in a step by step manner. So when we are practicing it in a step by step manner, ultimate result would come. But it is theoretically, it is correct that what we have to do is seeing everything, whether being very, very mindful and eliminating all the raga, dosa, moha, and practicing the increase the or intensify the practice of anicca, dukkha, anatta, or seeing the world as anicca, dukkha, anatta. That would eliminate most of the defilements and end our sansaric journey. But in reality, since we don't have that kind of a indriya system, so one should have very developed Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya, Indriya to do that kind of a thing. But what if our Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya, Indriya are not that developed? Then we have to adjust our Arya Magga accordingly, so that still we are able to attain Nibbana without getting too much frustrated that we cannot do this. So what we do is, in a sutta it says, one monk is trying too hard to attain Nibbana. He is due to his walking meditation, his souls has got damaged, and there's blood in the walking pathway where he does the walking meditation. Then Supreme Buddha does this sermon where he says something, taking a stringed instrument as an example. So let's say it's a guitar. It's not a guitar. I don't know the word for that specific instrument in English, but let's say it's a guitar. So in the guitar, if the strings are too much, the tension is too much in the strings, you would not get the correct sound. If the tension is too less, still you would not get the correct sound. You have to keep the tension in the perfect area to get the correct tune, correct note. So likewise, you should not increase the effort to an extent that it is harmful for Arya Magga. You should not decrease the effort to the extent that is again harmful to the Arya Magga. We should keep the effort in a medium level, where we have to optimize the effort so that it works perfectly with the development of Arya pathway. So that is why we need to focus on what we need to look back. We need to what you call we need to do a analyze about what we have achieved, what we have to do, what kind of a approach I have to take. We should analyze and change the ways that we are using, because when we are approaching, or when we are developing, when we are practicing Arya Magga, if that creates more pain and suffering than not practicing, so that cannot be the Arya Magga, because we are practicing the pathway to eliminate all the suffering. that should not be of something of suffering. It's true that there's a part of suffering, because we have to do sankhara. The sankhara dukkha is always there. But it should not be of something mentally unhappy. Because if somebody becomes unhappy mentally when practicing Arya that is a problem. That should be discussed, and that should be dealt with. Because if it is something mental, so you feel mentally frustrated of practicing Arya that means you have thought the world is of, or the Arya at least, of Nitya Sukha Atta nature. So if somebody thinks something is of Nitya Sukha Atta Subha nature, then the attachment to Arihat Pala, to Nibbana, or whatever, would create the suffering, because you could not achieve the attachment, could not achieve what we attached. So when we could not achieve what we attached, we get disappointed. So think it through. Think that Arya Magga is also in the world. So if something is in the world, again it is of Anicca Dukkha Anatta nature. So the Arya Magga is also of Anicca Dukkha Anatta nature. We cannot achieve it according to our expectation, but everything should come aligning so that the result would occur. So in this case, aligning should disalign so that the result would not occur. Because in Arya Magga, the result should not occur. What we are achieving, what we try to achieve is Nirodha. So not occurring Raga, not occurring dosa, not occurring moha. That is Ragakke, Dosakke, Mohakke. So we are planning on not achieving, non-existence of Raga. So for the non-existence of Raga, we have to create those causes, and those causes would ultimately remove the Raga Anusaya. So likewise, it should work in that way. So I hope that clear the answer for that question. So gradual approach is the approach that we should take. We should never focus on the defilements that we can't even understand, that we can't even detect. Put your effort, 100% effort on the defilements that we can perceive, that we can understand. When we remove that layer, we would be able to grab, or we would be able to understand or detect the lower, finer levels of defilements. We would not be able to understand every defilement in our system all at once. It is the denser defilements, or it is the more bigger ones that we would be able to detect initially. But treating those would help you to understand the finer ones. That is how this should go. So again, this is a good question. Excluding the time spent sitting at a desk listening to your sermon, Dhamma listening Jati, and Jati that washes the face, Jati that does the dishes, Jati that changes clothes, Jati that organizes laundry, Jati that sweeps combs the hair, etc. And these also the birth of Raga Jati. Because all sankharas should be viewed as anicca dukkha anatta and all dhammas as anatta. So here, so the thing is, we have to wash our face. We have to wash the dishes. So we can do it in two ways. Can get attached to washing our face, just like thinking washing my face and applying some cream or whatever would make my face beautiful, and that would create that attachment, and you want a beautiful face, and that is why you are washing it. So that would directly create raga. Again, this Dhamma listening jati, there's also a raga. That raga is called Dhamma raga. So Dhamma raga is important until you achieve Nibbana. So when you achieve Nibbana, you don't need that raga as well. When someone becomes a Arihat, that is the last raga to be eliminated. So that is why it is said this is a gradual process. You should not remove the Dhamma raga at first, because then everything would be gone. Even the you would not be able to listen to Dhamma. So the Dhamma raga is gone. Dhamma raga should develop until the end, and it should be eliminated at the end. It is said that when you are crossing a river, you have to have the boat. You should not get rid of the boat at first. First, cross the river. Then you should not take the boat with you, because now it is a burden, because we have already crossed the river. Just like that, we have to use Dhamma to cross this river of defilements, cross this samsara. After we cross the river, if we get attached to the boat, then we would not be able to go to the land, because we would be in the shore attached to the boat. So we have to get rid of the boat at that point. We should not get attached to the boat. This is the boat that helped me to get rid of this river. This is the boat that saved my life. So I should guard this boat. I should take this boat with me. No, that is not the mindset one should have. So yes, this boat helped me to cross the river. So you thank the boat. You pay gratitude to the boat, and then you leave the boat, because now you don't need a boat anymore, because you have already crossed. So that is the last thing to do. We should not do that without crossing the river. You should not get rid of the boat without crossing the river. So just like that, the raga has so we should remove it gradually. So the bigger portion of raga, or dense raga first, then final levels of raga, at last Dhamma raga, which is the last raga to be gone. So when we are practicing in that way, we know that now the hierarchy. And the other thing is, washing our face, washing our clothes, doing daily chores is important. Not because we give value to that item, thinking that it is Nitya Sukhatta Subha. We know that these things are of Anicca Dukkha Anatta nature, but to live, but to continue a normal lifestyle, we need these things. So we do that without attachment. So we wash our face because it is necessary, not because it is valuable, or not because uh, it is of Nitya Sukhatta Subha nature. We do it because it is necessary. So since so so Arihat's state of mind would not occur in a normal person. So in an Arihat, he would not care if we don't get the chance to wash his face. He would do it regularly because it is necessary. But if he did not get the chance, he would not get agitated. He would not get angry. He would not get uh, bad thoughts about it, negative thoughts about it. It is nice to have, but if don't, that's okay. So we don't need to get rid of these kind of normal things in our life. We can continue them because we have better things to worry about right now, because there's raga, there's dense raga, dense dvesha. So these two should be dealt with. So these small things, like washing the face, washing the clothes, that can wait. That can, yes, you can think in a Arya way, use vipassana at that occasions as well. But don't get frustrated that still raga is occurring. No, even Arihat washes his face, but he is of ragakya nature, dosakya mohakya nature, because he has attained nibbana already. So washing face has nothing to do with raga. Raga is because of ra means wondering. Raga means wondering because of giving value. So when we give value to something, our mind cannot rest. Our mind think about that certain thing at all times, just like a new film is released. Now raga occurs because our mind was at rest first, but the rest is not there anymore. Now our mind is wandering here and there looking for that film. So that is raga. So that kind of a mindset would not occur when we are looking to wash our face. So that kind of a very uneasy, vexatious mindset would not occur when washing the face, when washing clothes. The thing is, it can occur for somebody who is having OCD, who is in obsessive compulsive disorder, who wants to wash his face, wash his hands at all times. So we cannot say depending on the act, but we can say depending on the ulterior motive or motives under the act. So if the motive under the act is just washing the face because it is necessary, then that's okay. If that is something of attached nature because you have seen something of value in that certain act, then that is raga. That should be eliminated. But go in a gradual way. Yes, apply it on at all times that when you see raga, but when you are assessing, when you are analyzing, it should be with the denser defilements first. But the finer ones can wait when the denser ones are still there. When the denser ones are removed, the finer ones would automatically become the denser ones, and you would be able to approach them with a very strong mindset. Because denser defilements are still there because the mindset is not developed to that extent where you can tackle these denser ones. So when the mindset becomes stronger and stronger, the denser defilements would be eliminated without any issue. And the smaller defilements, finer ones, would become the denser defilements. And you would be able to attack them as well. So this goes in a cycle. This is a gradual process. You have to just keep on practicing the same pattern. That is what I want to tell you about that question. Yes, that's that those were the questions that we have got in that chat. And there's one other question, which is at some point, children who were previously only lovable are sometimes perceived as the concept of Pancakkhandha, constantly yearning for and seeking out visual, auditory, and gustatory objects. Is it right to view children this way? I would appreciate it if you could respond in today's discourse. Yeah. So you can apply this anicca dukkha anatta to anything around you, inside you, and all the living, non-living objects, as well as yourself. So these are the three things: living objects around you, non-living objects around you, and the one unit which is called you. So you can apply anicca dukkha anatta to any of these things. When it comes to children, the attachment is so powerful. So you cannot get rid of this attachment very easily, because even an anagami person would have the attachment for his children, not in a kamaragic way, but in a very finer level. It would be still there. can be still there. So what we should do is take this approach. Yes, you can do that. You can apply and see it as using the concept of Pancakkhandha. So what do we do when we are applying the concept of Pancakkhandha? We are dividing and seeing. So Bhagava, the quality of Bhagava is used both. So what is the quality of Bhagava? So we use so child is a one big unit. We divide this one big unit to Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vineyya. Now there are 5 things. So these 5 things operate simultaneously with time, creating a delusional sense of one person. So that would eliminate Raga, Dosa, Moha. So you would know, you have to get the idea of Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. So this is of Anicca nature. For example, this is a cause and effect cycle of a mechanism where causes and effects occur in a very synchronized manner. And the output is a Vedana, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vineyya. That one whole set is perceived as a child. So when you see the world in this way, you would not get attached, because the illusion which is created when we see it as one big unit is already gone, because we have divided and seen the thing. So you can use that effectively when suffering occurs, and you can do it all the time. But the thing is, since the attachment is so strong, you should not get frustrated that it does not work at all times, because as said previously, we have to focus on denser defilements first, and work our way towards the finer ones. If we start seeing our children, parents, and other ones as a Pancakkhandha, or whatever it is, any method that we can use, we can do that. But the thing is, we have more important defilements that we should work on. But when the things go wrong, we can always use that methodology to get rid of all the defilements. For example, if the child does not listen to you, to your what you ask, he or she does not do what you ask, then you can always go back to Dhamma and see and remind yourself about the Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta nature of these children, or the thing that you see as children, the Pancakkhandha. So when you do that, all the problems, or that problem would go away. And when the mind develops to the extent that you can still perform the duties but without attachment, then the attachment is already gone, because you are performing duties to the children, to the parents, to whatever the person, but there's no attachment. Now that is the state which we should achieve. There should not be any attachment, but the duties and responsibilities are cared or done without getting agitated or getting angry. Because this is my transaction. This is a transaction that occurs, a past transaction that we have created during the past lives in the samsara. something like a debt. Now the debt is being paid. I'm not expecting anything back after paying this debt. What I expect is ending this samsaric journey. So that in that way, you are doing the duties and responsibilities, but not getting attached to the person, the child, the parent, or whatever the person, whoever the person is. So the what we do in the process is we see it as Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana, Apo Tejo Vayo Patavi, or you can use whatever the method you like. This is Kaya Anupassana. You can use Kaya Anupassana and divide and see. But this division is not necessary for everybody. Everybody sees Dhamma in various different ways. You can use what is efficient for you. So when somebody uses this Pancakkhandha method, or you can use the Dhatu method, Apo Tejo Vayo Patavi, or you can use the Ayatana method, Rupa Saddha Gandha Rasa Pottabha Dhamma, and Chakku Sota Gana Jivha Kaya Mana. That also creates everything. Pancakkhandha also creates everything. Paticca Samuppāda also creates everything. Chakku, Rupa, Chakku Viññāna, Sota, Saddha, Sota Viññāna, Gana, Gandha, Gana Viññāna, Jivha, Rasa, Jivha Viññāna, Kaya Pottabha, Kaya Viññāna, Mana, Dhamma, Mano Viññāna. These 18 things also creates the world. Again, you can see that person as a combination of these 18 things. So whichever the way you use does not matter. Whichever the way we use does not matter. What is important is seeing it as anicca dukkha anatta, which would lead to the elimination of attachment. Seeing the world as anicca dukkha anatta would remove the value that is given for in this example for the child. You give value to the child, see the world, see the child as anicca dukkha anatta by dividing or using any other method that you can use when you are practicing Arya Dhamma, whichever method that it works for you. So when the value is gone, no attachment. No, when the attachment is gone, no problem. Suffering is gone. So that is the method that you have to use. But I wouldn't mind that if this does not work efficiently in the state where you are applying it to your mother, father, or a child, because those are very big attachments that we have in our life. So in this gradual pathway, these are things that goes last in an anagami person. Even in an anagami person can last to an extent. So we should, of course, we should use this methodology, get rid of all the pain and suffering that can occur due to these bonds and attachments. But eliminating it 100% would take time, would take more wisdom, or development of more wisdom would get you there. But applying it all the time would not with the idea of eliminating all the bonds with the children, with the parents, and etc., would not make a very efficient approach while you are having more bigger defilements to work on. When the bigger ones are gone, this attachment with the children, with the parents, and with the other ones would become the biggest problem. Up until that point, you'd just apply that, and you would be able to see some results as well, but it would it would not get rid of it and the attachments 100%, because because you have to come, you have to approach this pathway in a very gradual manner. Yes, there's a way of approaching it all at once. Those people were called Ugghaṭi and Vipaṭitanyu. We don't know who is who. People, Ugghaṭi ones can be there. I cannot say that there are nobody. If there is a person like that, then that person can apply it all at once to everything and still achieve the ultimate goal without a problem in a very short time. So I hope the answer is clear. Any more questions? Maybe in the chat. Yes, I think we discussed about the Vinyanaya. I think you Chakku Vinyanaya Rupa. Yes, Sota Vinyanaya. Sattva Vinyanaya. Oh, yes. Can you tell us more? Can you tell us more detail about Chakku Vinyanaya Rupa, Sota Vinyanaya, Sattva Vinyanaya? Yeah. So I'll get the sermon. What do you? I think it's the there was the sutta which you have mentioned, Kama Guna Sutta. I get the Kama Guna Sutta and tell you what the meaning of this is. Yes. Panchime Bhikkave Kama Guna Katame Pancha Chakku Vinyaya Rupa Itta Kanta Manapa Piyarupa Kamupasanhita Rajaniya Sota Vinyanaya Saddha Gana Vinyanaya Gandha Jivha Vinyanaya Rasa Kaya Vinyanaya Pottabba Itta Kanta Manapa Piyarupa Kamupasanhita Rajaniya Ime ko bhikkave pancha kama guna Ime sankho bhikkave panchattang kama gunang abhinyaya parinyaya parikkaya pahanaya ariyo attangiko maggo bhavitabba Katame ariyo attangiko maggo ida bhikkave bhikkhu samma ditti bhaveti samma samadhing bhaveti viveka nisitam viraga nisitam nirodha nisitam vassagga parinami Ime sankho bhikkave paccannang kama gunang abhinyaya parinyaya parikkaya pahanaya ayang ariyo attangiko maggo bhave tabbati. So what is the meaning of chakku vinyaniya rupa itta kanta manapa kamupasanhita rajaniya means, so there's this beautiful pleasing then there's this karma, the nature of karma also is there, and that kind of rupa which was created, which was experienced because of chakku vinyaniya rupa, which is the chakku vinyaniya rupa means rupa which were created because of the chakku vinyana. So you are experiencing the rupa because a chakku vinyana was created. That is what is explained here. Rupa, which is created of chakku vinyana, which is of ishta. Ishta means you feel that it would complete your wish. That means ishta. Kanta manapa means very pleasing, very blissful. and very likable, and Kamūpasamhita. And the effect of karma, the element of karma is there in those rupa and Rajaniya. So Sota Vijnana, Gana Vijnana, Jivha, Pottabha, and Mano Vijnana also, Kaya Vijnana also has this effect, which is Ishta. You feel that your wish would come true if you are engaged with those kinds of rupa, Saddha, Gandha, Rasa, Pottabha. And these are pleasable, these are blissful, sensed as blissful, and has an element of karma in it. And this should be seen with wisdom. Abhinyaya, Parinyaya, Parikkaya, Pahanaya. So you have to see it with wisdom. You have to eliminate the Raga, Dosa, Moha. You have to eliminate this pleasing nature. To eliminate the pleasing nature, that is why we use the Kaya Anupassana. So when we use Kaya Anupassana, we divide and see. So the pleasing nature is gone and the reality is exposed. So when this is done, the pancha, the kama means, ama means the nibbana, ka means the something like eating. If we go to the raw meaning, ka means eating. So eating the nibbana, something like destroying nibbana. Kama means destroying nibbana. So there are 5 elements that destroys nibbana, which is rupa, saddha, gandha, rasas, pottabha, which are of pleasing nature, which are of very blissful nature. You perceive them as blissful, you perceive them as pleasing, and we feel that it would complete our wish. So this kind of things, these kind of rupa, saddha, gandha, rasa, pottabha should be seen as anicca, dukkha, anatta, and that would lead to the elimination of karma element, or elimination of the pleasing nature, elimination of blissful nature, and you would see the real nature of these items, and this wrong perception of them being pleasing, them being blissful would not occur, and that would end up in, that is the pathway to achieve that target is the Aryaṭaṅgiko Magga. And if you practice the Aryaṭaṅga Magga, then this kama guna, the problem with this panchakama would be, we would be able to get rid of that. So that is the meaning of pancha viññāneyya, chakku viññāneyya, sota viññāneyya. So the difference is viññāneyya is one thing, vineyya is something else. Vineyya means raga vinaya, dosa vinaya, moha vinaya. Vinaya is something related to disciplining your or our 5 senses, or 6 ayatanas. We have to discipline them in order to achieve the end target. So viññāneyya and vineyya are 2 different things. Okay, so since if you don't have any questions regarding today's discussion, I think we can wind up the session. Mr. Tushan, it's up to you.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ. Is there are no more questions for today? Since we have already continued for almost 2 hours, we can end the sermon for today. Is there any questions for anybody? Any more questions? Okay, Thero, I think since there's no more questions also, I think we can...
Okay, sure. So today we discussed about the questions that you have sent to the WhatsApp chat, and through these questions we are trying to understand how to practice our Magga and to end this suffering samsara, and we are trying to fine tune our pathway, or how we practice our pathway. And during this time, for almost 2 hours, we have been listening to Anicca Dukkha Anatta. We have been discussing Anicca Dukkha Anatta. That is the reality of the world. According to the Dakkina Vibhanga Sutta, if somebody is thinking about or contemplating on Anicca Dukkha Anatta, or especially Anicca, that is the highest meritorious deed that we can do, and the power which is generated through that meritorious deed is immeasurable, which should help us until we attain Nibbana. So we have been doing that for 2 hours, and all the meritorious power that is generated today throughout this discussion may agglomerate together, creating the perfect environment for everybody to understand Supreme Dhamma. May everyone meet a Kalyana Mitta and listen to Arya Dhamma, opening up the eyes of wisdom. If the eyes of wisdom are already opened, may everybody be able to complete the rest of the pathway by completing the Aryattangika Magga, ending this suffering samsara as soon as possible. Accept this blessing with the sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
So, furthermore, we have to think about all the ones who helped us during this sermon, the ones that for you to listen to this kind of a sermon, there are many people who helped you, and for example, our parents, teachers, the ones who gave us jobs, ones who are helping us to have a normal lifestyle, and the ones who helped us to arrange this Dhamma discussion, the ones who are behind the scene, ones who are helping to have these platforms, the ones who are paying and maintaining these electronic devices, and the ones who constructed and maintaining these temples. Let us think about all of them, and also let us think about the ones who were hurted and harmed by us during this sansaric journey as well, and the deities of 6 realms of gods and Brahmas of 20 planes of Brahma, and all the sentient beings in the universe as well. Let us spread this meritorious deed to them wherever they are in this universe. May they rejoice on these merits, being happy and delighted of these meritorious deeds. If they are in miserable places, may they refrain from doing sins. May they replace those sins with meritorious deeds, and may they lead happy lives, ultimately understanding the reality of the world, attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Accept this blessing with the sadhukara, transferring these immeasurable amounts of merits to all the sentient beings in the universe.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu.
So we'll end this session with the Pali stanza, blessing everyone. Abhivadana series Nichang Vaddhapjayino Chattaro Dhamma Vaddanti Ayuvanno Sukham Balang Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Minate Samichatu. May everyone attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.
Silavantam Gunavantam Punyakettam Anuttaram Dullaveda Mayaladdam Andivisamvidora Sariputtari Teranang Agatam Patipatiya Saddha Sila Dayavasam Buddha Bhuttan Namah Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu.
Therava Saranayana.
Therava Saranayana.
Teruvan saranai.
Everyone, sir.